10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Hello everyone, Shaitan again, bringing you another game from the Korean ladder. Again, we have spawning as the red Protoss in the southeast corner of the Grass Plateau, Zenex Young, a player from the Zenex team with a very, very high ladder ranking. I believe he is somewhere around the top 10 of the Korean Grandmaster ladder. Meanwhile, in the northwest position, spawning cross maps, we have the man that needs no introduction, the God of Zerg, Incredible Miracles Nesty, spawning as the blue Zerg. Now, in the previous game, played between these two that's also seen on my channel, Zenex Young was able to take out Nesty with just a very, very powerful Protoss, a Deathball army, transitioning into that after a double Stargate. Follow-up to a 4-gate, I guess, after a Forge Fast Expand. A bit convoluted, but just to tell you the entire story. He was able to transition into Deathball, and Nesty just simply was not able to get to the Broodlord tech he needed to defeat the Deathball just fast enough. The Broodlords were killed the second that they finished morphing. So we'll see if Nesty can actually take this game here. Zenex Young is opening up again the exact same way as last time, a Forge Fast Expand. It's very, very powerful on this map, especially because there's this double ramp setup. There's a ramp into the natural and then a ramp into the main, which means that any sort of Roach-Ling attack is almost destined to fail. If you want to see examples, look at MC or Idra versus MC. One Void Ray can hold off this entire ramp, or you can just simply cannon up, maybe add an additional one cannon and add on a couple sentries. And with force fields and good control, you'll just be able to defend very, very easily. So this game is going to tend itself toward more of a macro game, I think. Nesty does drop down the spawning pool, and he's actually able to sneak away a drone. Sneaky little bastard. You see here, Zenex Young is moving down to block the hatchery. He realizes that, wait, Nesty should be moving a drone down there, but it's already too late. Nesty has the hatchery down. The spawning pool is also almost complete, so cannon rushes are not going to be that effective. Zenex Young does the only thing that he can, which is to drop the Nexus, his own Nexus, immediately. They actually started about the same time, which is a pretty good deal for Young. However, he would have liked to be able to delay it a little bit more. He could have dropped the pylon, and until those Zerglings come out, then the hatchery would not be able to go down. But we do see Young getting down the gateway and the photon cannon. This is going to keep him safe against any sort of Zergling run by. The photon cannon can two-shot the Zerglings, and Young can always complete the wall off right here. So this wall is basically going to be impregnable to any sort of Zergling attack. Meanwhile, we see here that Nesty still has not taken a gas at 22 supply. This is pointing to a quick third base happening. We can actually see Nesty is looking around with his Zerglings, making sure that there are no proxy pylons in position. He doesn't want to lose to a couple Zealots quickly warped in at the third without the ability to defend it. But we do see the drone moving down. The third is going to be taken at about 24 supply. Again, pretty standard in terms of the metagame. The Protoss does a Forge Fast Expand. However, this delays their cybernetics core and warp gate research significantly. We see the cyber core just going down, so the Protoss is unable to really put any sort of pressure on the Zerg player for quite some time, so the Zerg can feel very free to take this quick third expansion and delaying gas and Zergling speed for quite some time. We do see Nesty droning up quite heavily. He's going to be at 25 drones in just a couple of seconds compared to the 23 of Zenex Young, but Nesty's drone production should skyrocket. He has 2 queens. This third hatchery is about halfway done, and he should be able to get up to the 70 or 80 drones that he wants very, very quickly. So this game is really going to devolve into Zenex Young trying to do some type of timing attack, as seems to be the trend, to punish the third base. We see that he is getting +1 on the Forge. Nesty, I believe, is aware of it. He didn't see it. He couldn't get in because of the cannon, but I'm sure he can scout that with a Zergling if he wants. He's positioning the Overlords in optimum location so he can get fairly good scouting on anything that's over here or behind the wall. So Nesty should be fairly well aware of what is coming for him. But it looks like Young is going to do a slight amount of Zealot pressure, just like what we saw last game, trying to force some Zerglings from Nesty. Nesty, meanwhile, is getting 2 gases in his main. He's getting ready to get Zergling speed and all sorts of other upgrades that he wants. He's up to 37 drones. He's continuing to make them, but he thinks that he needs some tech soon. We do see a bit of a drone transfer over to the third, and Young is continuing to make the Zerglings. We'll see if he does. It looks like he's doing the same build as he did last time. A quick 3-gate, adding 3 additional gateways up. He's going to do a mini 4-gate attack, sort of delayed with +1, using purely Zealots, just to sort of force Zerglings from Nesty, the +1 Zealots that are going to be able to 2-shot Zerglings rather than 3-shotting them, making them very effective. We'll see what sort of damage he can do here. Nesty does drop the Roach Warren, but it's a little bit later compared to last game, so he probably won't have Roaches to defend against this assault. He's going to be relying completely on Slowlings. Fortunately, he does have 8 on the way. He'll be up to 10, and Nesty thinks that's going to be enough, and I'm inclined to actually not believe him. I think that he's going to need a little bit more than that, assuming that these 4 more Zealots are going to be warped in. 6 Zealots versus 10 Zerglings and a Queen is not really a good deal, but we do have 12 more on the way. That should be more than enough to take it out. Nesty is continuing to drone up. He's up 13 currently, 53 to 40, but we'll see how much damage this can do. I'm sure Nesty would have liked for all of these Zerglings to be drones. He's actually dropping a Spine Crawler at his third because he knows it's going to be a very close hold, but we'll see. Young is just attacking the hatchery, doing whatever he can. Nesty tries to move in. He's doing a little bit of free damage. Nesty pulls all of the drones. There's a warp in of Zealots onto the high ground, but the Zerglings are moving in. The damage to the economy is actually going to be fairly high. Young is throwing 4, 5, 6 workers right now, but it doesn't look like, oh my god, he actually cleaned up all the Zerglings. We'll see if Nesty is able to hold this. The Spine Crawler is about 3/4 of the way finished, but the Zealots are going to be able to force the cancel. Nesty needs to cancel. He actually doesn't get the cancel off. He's going to be able to deny this third, probably actually 15. The Roaches are on the way. That should be enough to clean up his attack, but we'll see if Young can take out the hatchery beforehand. I don't know if it looks like it's going to be close, but the hatchery is going to go down to these Zealots. This means Nesty is left with 15 Roaches that are going to be fairly ineffective at breaking up this wall just because of how well defended it is. Young can always throw up another cannon. He'll be able to hold that off indefinitely, but Young is able to. Young loses all of his Zealots. Nesty is left with all of these drones with 4, and he's now actually down by 6 Harvesters compared to Young. This is not the situation that Nesty wants to be in. He's actually on even basis with on even basis with a Protoss. He's still on hatchery tech. His lair just began researching. He's dropping Spore Crawlers because he doesn't know what sort of follow-up is going to be coming from Young. It could be the exact same as last time, which was the quick double Stargate, but it looks like this time Young is actually transitioning into a Robo Facility. He saw all of the Roaches of Nesty, and he knows that he's going to need Immortals to deal with this. Young is actually getting an Observer right away, which is kind of interesting. I think that, with these 3 cannons he'll be fine. So he has these 5 or 6 sentries that are going to be able to force field off the ramp and then do significant damage to Nesty's Roach forces. Nesty actually realized that he's not going to be able to break that, and he pulls away. So these Roaches are basically just wasted larvae at the moment. Nesty is droning up heavily. He's going to be at about 60 drones very soon compared to the 51 of Young. Young is still on 2 bases. Nesty has expanded to his 3rd base. Yet again, we have the lair tech finishing. I'm kind of curious to see what Nesty is going to do, whether he's just doing this for upgrades, or if he wants to go for Spire Tech or something. It looks like it's just for upgrade. He's getting melee attack level 1 and Roach speed. He's also building a macro hatchery at his natural, so I think he's going to be just committed to some type of Roachling aggression to deny any third coming out from Young, but Young is going to be basically stuck in his base until he gets out the Colossus tech. That'll give him a certain amount of power on the map, but Nesty is building an Overseer somewhere. It looks like the Overseer is right here. He does know that the Robotics Bay is coming up. The Spire goes down immediately from Nesty. He knows he's going to need the Corruptors to deal with this. He doesn't want a repeat of last game, and I think if Nesty is able to get the Corruptors out in time, which he should be able to based on the timing, he will be okay against the composition, so it's all going to depend on Nesty's ability to properly control his units. Meanwhile, Nesty's units are 0-0. Like I said, +1 melee attack is on the way, but we have for the Protoss army. The Protoss army is already +1 ground attack with +1 armor almost done. Extended Thermal Lance is coming out from the Protoss, as well as we now have, I think, 6 gateways, a 7th on the way from the Protoss. The Protoss is moving out, or at least he's taking out his pylon to be ready to move out. He has 1 Colossus, 1 Immortal, a 2nd Colossus on the way. Nesty's Spire is still not done, but I think Nesty has the army he needs to deal with this 20 Roaches and 18 Zerglings. As long as he's able to get a good number of hits on this Colossus really early, it should be okay. But Young does have a lot of energy built up on these sentries. He's going to be able to partition the army very, very well. Nesty looks like he's going for a counterattack. I don't know how effective it's going to be because look, the wall off is, actually the wall off wasn't there. Nesty should have forced the issue, but instead he's going to be able, he might be caught out of position by this army, but fortunately Nesty's army is faster than the Protoss army and he'll be able to escape. Nesty's actually transitioning to Mutalisk. This is interesting. It's going to give him the ability to do multi-pronged harass on the mineral lines, and Young doesn't actually have any cannons defending here, and this Mutalisk is actually going to be quite effective against the Colossus as well. We'll see what Nesty wants to do. I don't think he should force the engagement here. He's just going to lose to this army. He needs to wait for the Mutalisk and build up more and more roaches and lings before he can actually do any sort of damage. The two Colossus are, they're going to do a lot of damage, but they're not quite at the critical number of 4, which is going to be where just units basically melt to them. The Mutalisk are out right now. We'll see if Nesty decides to go for the harass, but I think he's going to be forced to use them for defense. Young is actually moving into a bit of a dangerous position here. He's going to get sort of sandwiched between the army here, but the force fields are actually very nice. Colossus actually come out, but the force fields go back in. The Mutalisk are out. He's actually using the targets to Stalkers. Brilliant decision making from Nesty. There just aren't that many Stalkers going to be able to take all of them out and then clean up the Colossus afterwards. He did lose all of his drones, which is going to be a fairly big deal, but Nesty is able to take out all of the Stalkers. Now it's just sentries left. Now this Stalker is taking forever to die, but he did take them out. Now it's just sentries and a Colossus left. Nesty is down to 41 drones. There's some Zealots running into the main that are going to be able to do a significant amount of damage to the Stalkers. I think Nesty needs to move in these roaches. They should have been coming in long ago, although I guess these Colossus force fields were able to keep him out. I'm surprised Nesty isn't making more units. Look, he's floating 1,400 minerals. Even Zerglings at this point will be better than nothing. And right now Nesty's locked out of his main. He's just making these 4 Zerglings right here. I think this is going to be GG for Nesty, as he just didn't keep up with his back row during that battle. He floated up to 1,200 minerals. Just doing something would be better than nothing. We see here the Roachborn is taken down from Nesty. He's continuing to be force fielded off at the ramp. These sentries have so much energy they can basically keep the force field going on forever. This looks like it's going to be over for Nesty. It's just a formality at this point. Supplies are 121 to 80 for Nesty. Nesty is taking the 4th expansion, but he's lost his main. I can't see Nesty recovering from this, although I guess he's not going to GG out like Idra at this point. So we'll see. Nesty is going to take out the entire army of Young, and then we'll see how he transitions. Interesting to notice that Young actually hasn't taken a 3rd base. He's still on 2 bases, but Nesty is down to only 50 supply, and these force fields are just doing so much damage to the army, and there comes the GG from Nesty.